That chick's got a glass jaw. That's all I can say. Hey, welcome everybody. It is time once again for Aaron Live. We're a little bit early today because I have to take a friend of my daughter's to the airport today. So he has been here visiting. I guess we could call him the boyfriend. Heading back to the sunny state of Arizona. So I will be taking him to the airport a little bit earlier than the show would normally end. So I thought, you know what? Solve the problem by starting the show earlier. It's math, and it works. Unless you're trying to figure out the circumference of the flat Earth, then math doesn't work, apparently. I just got to get those shots in when I can. It is a scorcher here today. You may have noticed that I have this little device around my neck. This is a neck fan. There is cold air blowing up like this, and it is oh so refreshing. I got this as a gift. Shelly and I both got one from Geek Avenger and Squeaky while attending the SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington, just 2 weeks ago. So that's what this is, and I'm happy to see I'm getting to use it already, and it works. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. I've got a show for you today. I'm not going to brag about it, but I think it'll fill the time nicely. And when we come here, that's all we can really hope for, isn't it? Okay, let's see who's here, shall we? Mark Pengrin is here. It looks like he's the first one in the door, waving an American flag on this, of course, the 4th of July weekend. I guess you'd call it that, even though the 4th of July was on a Thursday. This is a super extended weekend, but a weekend nonetheless. And thank you for spending a few moments of it with me right here, right now. Past Master Dan says Bigfoot runs a trailer park in Canton. Just saying. I find that actually very believable. Let's see. Leg kick, of course. Well, other people brought me, chocolate or neck fans. Leg Kick brought me a copy of Atari Force #1, put it on my chair, and of course I sat on it. So there you have it. I don't even actually know where that's at right now. I wonder if it didn't even make it into my package of home goods or stuff that I was taking home from the show. I do have very strong feelings about Atari Force, and they're not positive. Matt Gia is here. Repairman Jack's joining us, of course. Stealth X5. Barbara Paulson is joining us. Thank you, Barbara. Pity Maw is here. Let's see here. Spaceman is joining us. Do you know if you went into space, Spaceman, you would actually be able to see that the Earth is round? But apparently you can't actually go into space. So I don't know. I'm just saying what I hear. Citizen Ronan's joining us. Past Master Dan says 5-2 Brewers over the Dodgers. Dan, the Pizza Man Genovese, was gone for a while, but now seems to be back in regular attendance. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Let's see who else we got here. Stippling Vaughn, it's Shark Week, and now movie reviews of Jaws 3D or 4, The Revenge, for shame. Oh, and he says, and now he probably said, and no movie reviews for Jaws. Or I did watch Jaws again this weekend. And I just want to say, you yell Barracuda. Everyone says, huh? What? You yell shark. We have a panic on our hands on the 4th of July. There you go. That's all I'll say about that for now. Okay. Let's see. Fox Mulder's joining us. Thank you, Fox. Good to see you. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, is joining us. The show is early and Aaron is late, indeed, but fashionably late. I like this. Like my Shelly got this for me. This is Tommy Bahamas. Okay, my daughter says you look like you're a kaleidoscope, but I kind of dig it. Short sleeve, and it's been like 100 degrees here the last couple of days. So Let's see here. Stealth X5 says hello. Hello, Stealth. Thank you for the $2. Appreciate it very much. I did mail your artwork off yesterday. Saturday, right? Yes. Okay. Yesterday. John Porton's joining us. Thank you for all that you do, Mr. Lopresti. And I do a lot, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. Thank you. Thank you, John. Ryo Stew is here. Let's see here. Talking to each other. Brian Suddenly Old is joining us. Duck Bacon, of course, is here. I know Duck now. I know his daughter. We talked at great length about art and other things, and his daughter proudly wears a Garbage Man t-shirt now. And again, I'm just not, I remember your daughter's name. I'm just not saying it over the internet because, you don't know if that's sort of information that we want floating around. So there you go. But anyway, Flady1 is here. Sean Allen, neck phones. No, neck fans. Cool air. Daniel Russell says it's cold air from Uranus. Is it? I don't think it is. But here, let's take a look at this and see.
The James Webb Space Telescope has captured an amazing photo of Uranus. This new image shows Uranus's faint dusty rings in unprecedented detail. Uranus is unique.
There you have it. That's a little courtesy of me providing you with a little documentary information on Uranus. So let's see here. Nordic Nerd is joining us. Thank you. I haven't been out in the sun long enough. I do look a bit rosy, though, don't I? Usually I look pale and sickly like I'm about to die, so I'll take that rosy look. I think they call it Assassination Weekend in Chicago now. Interestingly enough, when I lived in LA for about 3.5 years, and when I was in college, and they used to have a comic book show. It was the first Sunday of the month, first Sunday of every month. It was this comic show, and it was in the Ambassador Hotel where RFK was shot and killed. I mean, I walked right over. They probably changed the carpet since 1969, but this was in the mid 80s, and I walked right over where Bobby Kennedy was shot and killed by Sirhan, allegedly. And so, yeah, there you go. I don't know what that has to do with anything except assassinations, I guess. Nighthawk Warrior is joining us. Yeah, let's see who else we got here. Sand and Metal. Jaws 3 is okay. Jaws 4 is dog water. Jaws 3 is okay. Only in compared to Jaws 4 is it okay. I guess not terribly horrible maybe would be a way to describe Jaws 3. But Jaws 4 is terribly horrible. And Jaws 2 is not great. Annoying would be a good way to describe it. But it does have Roy Scheider in it, and that at least makes it watchable in certain circumstances. Okay, at least those are my feelings on Jaws. How can Jaws be the greatest? In my opinion, it's my favorite movie of all time, but by everybody's opinion, critic-wise, top 100 films of all time. It usually lands around 50, 51, somewhere in that neighborhood when people make a list. So it's considered one of the greatest films of all time. And yet, the franchise attached to that movie is abysmal. So you've got this great, great, great film, and then all the sequels are maximum suckage, and they just keep getting worse as they go. Even Planet of the Apes, which probably not top 100, it is on my list, but a great film nonetheless. The sequels weren't as good as the original, but they were pretty good, surprisingly good. And they kept cutting the budget on them too, and they were still decent. Even Conquest for the Planet of the Apes. Battle for the Planet of the Apes was a little bit silly, but I still like it. And Beneath the Planet of the Apes was just doggone grim and creepy. But anyway, I don't know that I've ever seen a franchise where the first movie is so great and the rest of them just blow. But there you have it with Jaws. Doc Brewski says, Aaron, poster looks amazing. Can't wait to hang it up. Thank you so much. Of course, he's talking about the Kit Carter insert movie poster. It'll be 14 by 36 inches. There's the original art for it back there. It's in all of its glory is represented on the campaign page right now, even as we speak. I've got it all over my social media. If you guys are into movie posters, check it out. It's kind of cool. I wanted one for myself, and that's mainly why I did it. And I'm glad that I was able to convince some of you people out there in the audience that you'd want one too. So it's going to be fun. Goes to the printer Monday, tomorrow. So it's ready to go. I mean, it is sitting there. Photoshop file is ready to go. All I need is the bleeds for it. And once they send me those, I'll make sure everything lines up, and then I'll send it to them. So it's going to be amazing because, and I'm thankful, the sketchbook will be here in 2 weeks. The poster turnaround time will probably be 2 weeks. Shouldn't be too bad on the poster. I've got all the shot glasses. Trading cards are in. So really the only thing that we don't have is the book, which of course is the most important thing. And we're almost done with that. So I'm hoping that will get to the printers, not this week, but early next week. And then I don't know what the turnaround time is on that, but the moral of the story is all the extra stuff that goes with the book will be done and here by the time the book gets here. So there will be no delay in shipping those babies out the second. And I do mean, well, maybe the minute they show up on the pallet. I start sending books out, even if it's late in the afternoon, I'll get like 20 books sent out just on that very first day to get the ball rolling. So I don't wait. I get that stuff to you as fast as humanly possible. And of course, there is a link in the description of this video. It'll take you right to the campaign. Probably going to be closing it, I would guess, less than, well, probably a week from Friday, or maybe in the middle of the following week. So a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it's going to be closed. There you go. Okay. There's Joseph Pentalon is here. Zaid Comics, of course, that's Merv the Astro Chimp, also known as Phil Diaz. Ulysses Laser is here. L.E. the Skibibbity Rizzler is here. Amazing, I can even spit that out. Ronan is here. Was Jaws 3 personal, though? No, Jaws 4 was, which made it even more personally offensive to me. Peter Watts is here. I don't like Jaws. You don't like any incarnation of Jaws, not even the first one? Come on, Peter. Come on. Well, I'm not a big Stanley Kubrick fan. 2001, not my favorite movie, but I do appreciate it and do recognize it as a great film. It's just not my cup of tea. So at least recognize Jaws as a great film, even if you don't like it. Okay. Citizen Ron says they looked up some of those mags. Pretty cool. I don't know what mags he's talking about, but that's okay. You guys probably do, since you're probably having a conversation on the side. Henry Jeremick is here. Let's see here. Biff Gibson is here. And in fact, he's announcing it proudly. Oh, wait, that's Jeremy Burtz. Hey, Jeremy. There we go. Biff says Biff is here. And there's Jeremy Burtz again. Joseph Fazio yelling the name Lopresti, and I got to support that. Angela Curry's here. I'm driving, headed home, probably eating chocolate-covered potato chips. Can't verify that, but it's a possibility for sure. Okay, here we go. Biff Gibson says no delays, famous last words, but it's all good. I'm happy to wait. Yeah, you guys have the patience of Job, really. And if you don't know who Job is, crack open your Bible. It's in the Old Testament. But anyway, crowdfunding is tricky when we get to this stage. because you're relying on certain things and things coming together neatly and smoothly, and they never ever do. But we've had pretty good luck on all the previous campaigns, and you guys obviously know you'll get your book as fast as humanly possible. So don't worry about that. Okay. Well, should I have a snack? Yeah, sure. Why not? It's part of the tradition, right? There we go.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
These are those, again, the sea salt brownies from Trader Joe's. I almost said Trader Vic's because my hair was perfect. If I had any. All right. These are only, like, for this box, only $2.99. I can't, like, every time I walk by, I'm like, how can I not get more of that goodness? So we'll take a bite live. If I had to choose between those brownies and Angela Curry's chocolate-covered potato chips, I don't know what I'd do right now. I might go with the potato chips. I might. A bigger question, though, of course, is what would Frank Frazetta do? Let's find out with today's Frazetta image. That, of course, is the cover to Blazing Combat #1. Why did I show that? Well, I've been showing some choice creepy and eerie covers from Frazetta the last few weeks. And Blazing Combat did come out from Warren Publishing, which, of course, are the same publishers of Creepy and Eerie magazine. So I figured it was all kind of in the same family. That's the cover to issue #1 of Blazing Combat. It's interesting to look at Frazetta's paintings, generally speaking, not exclusively, but generally speaking. That was from 1965, so that was an earlier effort. And he was still kind of finding himself as a painter, and he used a very thin paint very early on in his career, and that was pretty evident in this piece. But still, just a dynamic, energy-filled, great piece. I love that cover. I'd buy the magazine, but it's super expensive. Those are rare. Blazing Combat, there was not many of those produced or bought, and not a lot of them floating around. So that's like thousands of dollars, that book. So I don't have it, but I do admire it. So I did see someone that I was just at a show at SummerCon. Yeah, it was SummerCon. A dealer that I know had that and a couple other copies. Lower grade, but still like a couple grand for a lower grade copy. I was like, man, I'm not doing that. But I did admire it. And I hope you guys do as well. So there you go. That's our Frazetta for the day. I'd appreciate it if all of you fine folks out there would take a moment and hit the like and subscribe mutton chops, the button, which helps this channel grow. We continue to grow slowly but surely. So let's keep pushing that along, and maybe someday I'll hit 4,000 subs. But anyway, let's watch this public service announcement. I blew that. Let's try it again. There it is. I thought for a second there that Frankenstein was attached to the public service announcement, and it's not. Why I didn't attach it, I don't know. Maybe I should redo it. But of course, that would require time and work, so that's out of the question. Speaking of work, I'll tell you, there isn't a busier time than when you're fulfilling a campaign. When you stop being the artist, writer, or just whatever your role would be, the creative person, and then turn into the editor, publisher. That's crazy. It is crazy. I am in front of this computer 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, getting stuff done and put together. And so not complaining. I'm just, well, I guess I am complaining, but I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying that it's amazing how busy you get and how intense it is for just like a couple weeks as you're trying to get the book together and all the extra products that go with the book. Like the t-shirts, which are also at the printer, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier. So anyway, I would be pulling my hair out if I had any, but I'm happy to say that everything, like I said, is done except the actual book. And I am feeding pages from Kelsey to the letterer as I get them. So there's pages being lettered right now. No one's sitting around doing nothing. So anyway, enough about that. That's my run-on commercial for today. Pitty Moss says, Aaron, are you going to SDCC, that's San Diego Comic-Con? And if yes, do you have any exclusive to show, or can I purchase on your site? My friend will be there and I'll use her. I do have one exclusive, but you also be able to order directly from me. I will have a Kit Carter ash can, and that features just a small pamphlet, but it's a promotional item that I'll be charging for. I'm not giving it away, but because I don't have, my hope was when I originally set out to do Kit Carter that all this would be done and I'd have fulfillment done by now, and then I would be taking books to San Diego. Not the case. So my good friend David Williams said, why don't you put together an ash can, make it a San Diego exclusive, and then you can have that at your table, which then you can use as a selling tool to drive people. The campaign will be closed, but it'll drive them to my website where they will be able to order the Kit Carter book at a higher price than you guys paid. So I thought that's a great idea. But the interesting thing about it is that may interest you guys is it has pencil pages and a couple of inked pages in there. So if you wanted to see my pencils, you're not there's it's that those aren't represented anyplace else. The sketchbook has a couple pencil pages, but that's it. The rest are just Kit Carter images, color and black and white, that have been in my sketchbooks over the last 13 years, I think it's been. So if you wanted to get a sneak peek, or not even a sneak peek, but a kind of a peek behind the curtain of what some of the pencil pages look like, and a couple of the inked versions of some of the pages, the ash can is the way to go. So what I'll be doing is, I don't know exactly how much I'm charging it, because I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost until I find out tomorrow. But I will send out an update with a link to a secret perk. Okay. And that perk will be up on my campaign page. And you'll be able to get, if you want, one of these ash cans at a highly reduced price. And I'll just throw them in with your order. You can't get one if you haven't ordered, though. Sometimes people do that. I put these extra things on there and they'll just order the extra thing. And I'm like, well, because I don't put any shipping on it, right? Because I just figure I'll just put it in with your order, and it's just, this would be a small little ash can booklet. But then people order without having ordered anything on the campaign. And it's like, you just ordered this book at a discount price and paid no shipping. So how am I supposed to get it to you? So I don't. But what I'll do is I'll make people aware of it. I'll send it out in the updates. And if you want to order one, you'll be able to get one. And then the rest, will go to San Diego with me, and they'll be there as a promotional tool for the Kit Carter. So there you go. Everything else will be stuff that's already on my website. Wraith of God stuff, and whatever leftover t-shirts and a few hats and, shot glasses, things like that. Okay. Paul Taylor says, I know of no good mom and pop burger joints where I live. The best chain stores here are Five Guys and Wendy's. Wow, that's unfortunate. The burger that I made was a bacon double cheese with no pickles and tomatoes, jalapenos, and extra mayo. The burger was $5 and it was worth it. Sounds like it, Craig. Wow. Make me hungry. We'll get to the burgers in a little bit here. You guys are saying something about Brohawk. Is he in the chat or you just... Okay. Anyway, so I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. I don't think I've ever been to Shake Shack. We just got one here in reasonably close to this area. And I have yet to go there. I remember when it opened up, there was a line out the door for like a couple weeks. There was a place in Florida, not too far from CrossGen. I think it was Shake and Steak, though, that we went a couple times. I remember, but I can't remember if it was any good or not. So that's not on my list. But Pity Ma says she has my Jaws poster and I love it. Well, thank you. I've got like 2 of those left. They're 24 by 36. It was me sort of doing a Mondo version of Jaws. And I was going to use it to get work from them. And then I never did. So anyway, or try and get work from them. I've got a Pirates of the Caribbean one I'm working on. So eventually, before I die, hopefully I'll get that done. Nessie Burger was amazing. There was one really good burger joint that my son took me to when he was in working at Legacy Special Effects. It was in Burbank area. And it was one of the famous California burger chains. I just can't remember which one. It wasn't In-N-Out. He took me to In-N-Out, which, was fine. But this was more of remember Tommy's Burgers or something like that? I don't think it was a Tommy's Burger, but there was a couple really good burger places in California. And it was one of those. But hey. Okay. Enough of this silliness. Let's move along here. What am I doing first today? Should we jump right into... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I don't have an intro for this because it's not really a segment. It's kind of like a segment we've done before. But we'll use this intro because even though this book isn't in my collection yet, I want to get it in my collection. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but here we go. Now, of course, both those books in that promo are in my collection. So thank you very much. This, however, is a book that ain't in my collection that I got my eyes on. Some of them have cropped up lately. This is an expensive book. And, but I know a dealer. It's a friend of mine that has a copy. It's in 6.5 condition, which is totally acceptable. Here we go. Yeah, it's Journey into Mystery, number 62 from like 1961, I believe. I've done it. I've created a living Hulk. Here comes the Hulk, ladies and gentlemen. But as you can see, that's not the Hulk. That's Zemnu, the living Titan. So what's the deal with this book? It's, of course, one of the great Kirby monster books, but there's more to it than that. Although the first appearance of Zemnu, the living Titan, is not necessarily that big a deal. But the fact that they originally called him the Hulk makes this book a big deal. So in a way, it's the first appearance of the Hulk without the first appearance of the name, or the first use of the name, the Hulk. Now, later when they came out with the Hulk that we all know and love, this guy was changed to Zemnu, the living Titan, and became an Avengers Hulk villain, which is kind of funny that he would become a villain of the Hulks. So in this story, he's created by this mad scientist, but in newer Zemnu lore, he's an alien with mind control powers. Although I have not read this particular story, I would love to, but I don't have the book. And I don't think, I'm sure there's some Journey into Mystery reprints of this stuff somewhere. Actually, I do have Monsters on the Prowl reprint some of this stuff. And I have those, but they're all in near mint condition, so I don't want to. I don't want to read those either. So I got to find some reprints someplace. But anyway, this is on my radar. You get into that 6.5 range is what I'm looking at. 6.5 range. That's fine. Fine plus. It's still a $1,200 book in that condition. So you get up into, near mint, you're looking at probably, $4 or $5 grand. If you could find one, which is very unlikely because it's very hard to find Kirby monster books in high grade. That's why the Hulk is so expensive, the original series, and to find those books because they're scarce and they're super trashed, most of them. But anyway, so this is the book that is definitely on my radar that I'm going to be looking to pick up very soon at a convention near you. And that convention might very well be Comic-Con International in San Diego. Paul says, and then you would slab it instead of reading it anyway. I would read a 6.0 or a 6.5. You can't do a ton of damage to that. But I wouldn't spend that kind of money. See, I don't spend that kind of money on a book unless it is slabbed because I don't want to get in an argument later on in my life about what condition the book is in, right? And potentially lose money because someone disagrees with you if you need to sell it or trade it or whatever. So that's why I only buy expensive books slabbed. It ensures my investment is a little bit safer. There you go. Of course, read it on Comics Online. Read Comics Online. Yes. I just discovered that. Well, not that I discovered it, but someone made me aware of that. And I was like, I should take advantage of this. Flady1 says, I need Tales of Suspense 39 through 58. Probably won't be able to get too many of those in decent condition, though. Well, 58, of course, is where Cap and Iron Man team up, or they fight, actually, in the issue. And then in 59, they become the split series where you have one Cap story and one Iron Man story. I don't have 58. It's been on my radar for a long time. The problem with 58 is it's kind of maxed out. It's about a $2,000 book in 9.2, and it doesn't have a lot of room for growth. But it doesn't really come down in price either. So it's kind of like, do I want to pay $2,000 for a book that's only ever going to be worth about $2,000? So, that's kind of thing. But I do collect Tales of Suspense. I don't have any of the early Iron Man ones, though. I'm not a big Iron Man fan. When Cap joined Tales of Suspense, that's where I started collecting. But yeah, 39, even in a crap condition, is a fortune. That's, of course, the first appearance of Iron Man, for those of you who may not know. Leg Kick for $2. Thank you, Leg Kick. Show that beautiful Atari Force #1 you got. Like I said earlier, I think I sat on it. I don't even know where it is at this point. It may still be in my carry-on, all wrinkled up, probably. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's on my hit list, and we'll see if I can score it sooner than later. All right. So let's do this. Actually, let's not do that. Let's take. We were talking about burgers. Let's get that out of the way right now. Gosh darn it. No, because I want to split up my art. So I'm gonna do art first, then burgers, then more art. That sounds like the way to go. So I said art, burgers, more art. Yeah, I like it. Okay, here we go. Those jazzy blues. Okay. Who is David Grove? Excellent question. He's an artist. He's no longer with us. Passed away in 2013, I think. 2012, 2013. It escapes my memory right now. You may not know the name, but you'll recognize his work on some of these pieces, I'm sure. He did a lot of movie work, but he also did a lot of illustration work in books and stuff. Now, you remember this is from a movie with Matthew Modine where he's a wrestler. Didn't watch it, but this is still a great illustration. I believe it was called, not Quicksilver. What the heck was it called? Something like that. Vision Quest. There it is. Thank you very much. Very interesting technique. Very reminiscent of Bernie Fuchs and dang it, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. Bob Peak. Duh. Not exactly the same, but sort of that same kind of flair, that same sort of feel. So it makes you wonder if they were all sort of, coming out of the same sort of, not necessarily school, but school of thought, perhaps. Paul Taylor, yeah, Breaking Away was the biking movie. You guys got the Vision Quest thing. Now this one you probably recognize. Now, I was reading an article on Dave Grove, and it was written by a guy who described this as a Clint Eastwood movie poster, so I quit reading. That's Jonathan Pryce, of course. Something Wicked This Way Comes, based on the Ray Bradbury story. But yeah, you remember Jonathan Pryce, of course, was Keira Knightley's father in Pirates of the Caribbean, and he also was in Brazil, the lead in Brazil, among other things, of course. But yeah, so that's Jonathan Pryce, not Clint Eastwood. Can't call yourself a movie fan and make that mistake. Yeah, was this a Disney movie? Are you talking about Breaking Away or this? Or Vision Quest? I think this was a Disney movie. But that was back when Disney was not the Disney we know and love today. Anyway, let me give you a little background on David Grove in case you're interested. According to the Society of Illustrators, says David Grove, born 1940, developed an interesting variation of the Coles-Phillips fadeaway technique. So there you go, Coles-Phillips. We'll have to look at that guy up. Technique by melding background and foreground colors and values. This demands much preliminary planning for the final result to look so spontaneous. And isn't that the great joke, right? Is that the more spontaneous, the more loose, in a lot of cases, the more planning goes into it. So it's almost like being really, really tight in your planning to make something look really, really rough. Very interesting, but true. Let's take a look at some more. You may recognize these two gentlemen. This, of course, is, I don't believe it was off a movie poster, but because if it was, I would have bought it. This has to be just some promotional art for Lethal Weapon. Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, of course. Really nice. Again, so what you look at here is it appears that he's doing pencil work under here, whether that's like a black colored pencil or a regular pencil, and then doing light acrylic over the top of it appears to be what we're seeing. Very interesting technique, but very effective, especially if you can draw really well. Now, obviously, he was photo referencing these out, but still, whether you're looking at drawings, and most of these guys, would trace the photograph, and then they would juice it up with their own personal style, and that's the key, because anybody can take a photograph and trace it, and it still doesn't necessarily look good. But when you're doing likenesses, and I agree with this philosophy, if you're doing likenesses, especially for movie posters, they've got to be dead freaking on. And the best way to do that is to get your photo reference and then trace the photographs, at least the structure of the face. And then you go in over the top of that and make it your own. So you give it a sense of style, which he clearly does here, but you've got incredibly accurate depictions of these actors. The only guy I've seen that just takes the photograph, holds it in his hand, and works from that, Sebastian Kruger, who we looked at earlier on one of our Who's This Guy segments, greatest caricature artist in the world. And he does, tons of portraits and things like that of like rock stars and movie stars and things like that. He's just incredible. and he draws by looking, and translating from the picture to his mind to the canvas, and that just blows me away that he's as accurate as he is doing it that way. But most of these guys I don't think did, and that's just an old commercial art trick, and that's fine. Of course, we have the great Ethan Van Sciver joining us. As that painting looks like Ava spilled her juice on my work halfway through. And then you went, hey, she may be onto something. I can make this work. Yeah, make it easy on yourself. Trace it, baby. Paul Taylor says that could be that gouache stuff. It could be gouache because that's what at least what they give him credit for using is acrylics and gouache. But yeah, it's more of a staining and building up effect than a heavily painterly effect. All right, there's that Clint Eastwood piece from Pale Rider. Let me finish reading our little information on Grove. Grove was born in Washington, D.C. and attended the Syracuse University School of Art in 1964. That was the year I was born. He took a year off to travel in Europe, but stayed in Paris for several years as a freelancer. Following another stint in London with Artists Partners Limited, he returned to the States, to San Francisco, and the West Coast has been his home base since. Obviously, this was written before he passed away. There he works for a wide range of clients such as Car and Driver, the Saturday Review, Bantam Books, Ballantine Books, Dell Publishing, Standard Oil, how about that? The U.S. Navy and Atlantic Richfield Company, Western Airlines, NFL Properties, Pendleton Woolen Mills, CBS, the Bank of America, Walt Disney Productions. Grove is also taught at the Academy of Arts College in San Francisco and is a member of both San Francisco and New York Society of Illustrators and the Graphic Artists Guild. So there you go. That's all the information I've got on him. And what more do you really need except to look at his wonderful work? Very interesting, very great stuff. It's amazing how many, like some of these movies, like Pale Rider has a great poster. The one where most of us have seen with the big head of Clint Eastwood on it by CM Dudash, who I actually talked to on the phone. I tried to get him out here to do a painting group, like a weekend sort of studio lesson thing. And I had all these guys lined up and they all bailed. And so then I had to call them and go, everybody bailed out, because it was several $1,000s to get him out. We had to put up in a hotel and all this kind of stuff. So I wasn't going to pay for it myself, but we had, like 8 guys or something. And we all paid, pitched in $500 or something. We could have done it. And he would have come out and given us this instruction for a weekend. And it really kind of ticks me off that fell through. But, that's the way it goes. I won't mention any names of who bailed. Anyway, so let's take a look at some more of this goodness. Now, I'd never seen this poster before. I've seen the movie, The Outsiders, the Coppola movie that featured all the young stars of the day. Of course, Matt Dillon, C. Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio, Diane Lane. Is that Tom Cruise up there? Yeah. Patrick Swayze was in there. Rob Lowe. My goodness. Emilio Estevez was in there too. Leif Garrett. Remember him? He was on like Tiger Beat magazine all the time, wasn't he? Yeah. So anyway, you had all these young stars in here. And this kind of ended up getting, mixed reviews. Remember, we all had to read this in high school back when reading was required educational stuff in high school. Good book, but the movie was so-so. But I like any poster that has got artwork on it, good artwork. Someone says, who was it that in here? Oh, Citizen Ronan says he thinks the sun is too bright. It's pretty electric. You might want to tone that down a bit. Kind of draws your eye down here and away from your actors a little bit. But, who who am I to criticize someone more successful than myself? But anyway, so that poster, I'd never seen that poster before until I just happened to look it up and find it. Now this is back in the good old days when Walt Disney was run by the man himself, Walt Disney. I don't know what this was for, but it's a great piece. Remember when we used to love Disneyland? Now we hate it. That could be gouache. I don't know. Some of this looks like acrylic up here to me. But, you know, you can use a combination of many things. That's another really nice piece. Very nice. Got one more. This is off I got two more. This is off a book cover that I really like. That's very interesting because you've got the pirate here really well lit. That's your main focus, obviously. Steering wheel goes into black because we don't really, it's unnecessary. The ship behind him, look at how that's just sort of indicated, but it's not, I mean, everything's there. You clearly know it's a ship, but it's just, there's hardly any detail at all. It's all grayed out to create this background image. So your focus is right here. Just a really masterfully done painting. It looks very old school too, which I like. Yeah, but this is off some pirate novel. Citizen Ronan says maybe he thinks that it was diluted oils. Could be. I mean, in the description I read, but that was the same guy that thought that Jonathan Pryce was Clint Eastwood, so maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Described him as acrylic and gouache artist and didn't use oils, but that doesn't mean he didn't use oils. These square brush marks up here make me, and this streakiness here, make me think acrylic. But again, this stuff doesn't necessarily look as much like acrylic might. It's very interesting. I don't know. Good artists can do just about anything with just about anything. So, and here's a pencil drawing, and you can see this is a little rougher than, but actually not much, than what we're seeing in his finished paintings. So my guess is he does his pencil drawing. They'd be tighter than this, but you can see that sort of that roughness here. Look at that. Look at that hand over here. It's just more of a gesture drawing, right? But he cleans this up a little bit and then probably coats it with a fixative and then paints over the top of them. That's what a lot of his paintings look like, you know, like that, especially that Lethal Weapon one, where you've got the pencil drawing and then basically painting over the top of that, which again is a very interesting and cool effect, because you have paintings are successful mainly because either the drawing's good or it's not. If the drawing's good, you can do a mediocre painting job and still have some people go, oh, that looks pretty good because the drawing's good. But conversely, you can have a really well painted mediocre drawing and it's like, oh, the technique's great, but the painting doesn't work because the drawing's not that great. So, you know, as long as your drawing's really good, you can get away with a lot. Now, obviously, we strive to make sure our painting technique's as cool and interesting as, you know, and professional as it can be, but drawing is key. Drawing and values are key. Anyway, there you go. That's Dave Grove. That's who he is. And that's some of his artwork. I believe there's one book on his artwork available out there, but I think it's out of print. So I think it's several $100s, but you know, you double check that on Amazon, The Art of Dave Grove or something like that. And you'll probably be able to track down a copy. Whether or not you want to spend the money on it is another thing. All right. And that's why Aaron can't get away with a lot, because my drawing sucks. No, it doesn't. Andrew says, what I'd give to be a fly on the wall to see their painting processes. Yeah, you know, I filmed my different stages of me painting that. And I just haven't edited them and put them together yet. And it's not going to happen until after I get clear of this campaign and everything's at the printer. Then I have that like 2-week wait, or hopefully only 2 weeks for the books to show up. Then I can put some of this stuff together and get it out there. Oh, I see. That was a compliment. That wasn't a shot at me. Okay, I'm sorry, Paul. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I thought you were saying that's why you can't get away with the lot. It's because my drawing stinks. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's talk some food. Paul, I know, is hungry, so he'll probably be really looking forward to this. It is, of course, Aaron's top 5. Oh, I'm back. Okay. So what I did was I took the best burgers that I remember ever having, and where did I get them at? Now, most of them are locally here in this area, but there's a couple that I want to honorably mention that were not in this local area, but unfortunately they don't exist anymore, the restaurant, so I can't get them anymore. But those of you who are longtime San Diego attendees, right there on the main strip in the Gaslamp. Is it Gaslight? No, Gaslight. The Gaslight district, where they go in and tell you stuff that's not true. The Gaslamp district. There was this 2-story little restaurant about, I don't know, 2 blocks, maybe 3 blocks from the most, probably 2 blocks from the railroad tracks, just on the other side of the convention center. And as you're walking towards downtown San Diego, away from the convention center, it was there on your left-hand side, and it was a 2-story place. Now, the bottom was a bar and grill, sort of. You had this, it was really sort of very decorative, old school decorative. Had a long bar, and then all these tables set up on the left-hand side. The bar was on the right-hand side. And then if you go upstairs, it was an Italian restaurant, right? And so it was an amazing thing. They were owned by the same people, but I can't remember the name of the place. The best burgers. We would go in there like Wednesday afternoon before the show and order burgers in there. They had one with an egg on it, fried egg and different. You could just, they were this big. They were great. One of the best burgers, if not the best burger I can remember ever having, was at this place, but I can't remember the name of it. And then they went out of business anyway, which is a source of frustration to me because I went there to eat practically every night at San Diego, because you could go upstairs and get Italian, or you could stay downstairs and they had more of an American menu downstairs. Great restaurant, whatever it was called. It was kind of like a mafia name, like, Big Guidos or Big Mike's or something like that. I don't remember. Oh, wait a minute. Is that it? No, you guys are talking to each other. Well, it was actually before Biden. Actually, it went out of business before Trump even, I think. It just went. That's the thing with San Diego, man. It's like the rent in that Gaslamp district has got to be so freaking high. And then you do, all your business you're really doing is out of town people at conventions. You're probably fueling 90% of their income that they bring in. And maybe San Diego is bringing in, most of their income for the year. So I don't know. It'd be difficult, I would think, because you see a lot of turnover in restaurants around that area. Bluto's Burgers, Guido's, Big Mike's. It wasn't Sammy's. Anthony, what are you talking about? Sammy, core memory is Miner Burger in Yakima, Washington. Patties were bigger than the bun. Godfather's. No, that's too obvious. Yeah, I don't remember, but it was really, really good. So I just throwing that out there. I can't, like I said, I can't use it on the list because they don't exist anymore. But that was my favorite place. Okay, so let's get along. So, I mean, you could argue that any good restaurant you go to that, you know, has hamburgers are probably going to be better than fast food. But if I don't remember, you know, if I went to a restaurant and had a burger and I never had it again, then it's probably not going to stay with me. But anyway, let's take a look at number 4. All right, this is a burger chain, I guess, but I don't know that I would call it fast food. It's more of a burger grill. Little Big Burger. That is in my immediate area with a couple miles of my house. Pretty good stuff. Good fries, too. Not the cheapest burger in the world, so it's not something you would go and, you know, we're going to go there once a week with the family kind of thing. But the burgers are good, and they have like, I'm one of those weirdos who I like blue cheese on my hamburger. So I got to actually I picked one of their burgers and said, hey, can you take out the American cheese and put blue cheese on there? And they did it. That was good. Phil can't take it anymore. I can't stand this burger talk. Now I got to make a burger. Can't work on an empty stomach. That is for sure. Okay, so that is a burger chain. I don't know how prevalent it is in the rest of the United States, but I do know it's around here, so that counts. Paul Taylor says, I like blue cheese, but I've never tried it on a burger. Dude, try it on a burger. It'll change your life. Okay. Number 4. This may shock some of you. In fact, it kind of shocked me that I put it on here, but I got to, you know, as the kids say, I got to keep it real, man. That's right. Carl's Jr. If I'm going to go fast food, I'm going to Carl's Jr. I love their hamburgers. I really do. They're big. They feel flame broiled. They're probably not, but they do. I do like them a lot. Well, I guess blue cheese is moldy cheese, isn't it? But it's the right kind of mold. Paul Taylor, you're adding calories. Okay. The triple burger with cheese and a large Frosty. Whew, that's like 2 meals. That's right. You get to the East Coast and Carl's Jr. is called Hardee's. It's actually called Hardee's in Australia too, in case you're interested. Just pass that on along. Biff Gibson said Carl's Jr.'s El Diablo is a good, quick burger. Okay. Now, I'll tell you something right now. Burgerville did not make my list. I'm just going to go right on a limb and say it didn't make my list. That's a local Northwest burger chain. They used to be great. They're still good, but they unionized, which is the dumbest thing in the world, to unionize fast food workers. That makes no sense. Totally destroys your profit. So they had to raise the price of everything. So now their prices are ridiculous. They're like, you might as well go to a sit-down restaurant and order a real burger. And the burgers aren't, for whatever reason, I can't really put my finger on it, but they're not quite as good as they used to be when I was a kid and a teenager. And it was our go-to place. They have these small burgers, like kids menu burgers. They used to be 99 cents, but they were $2.50 a piece, and you'd get 2 of them for $5, and they were like having a regular burger, but they were really good. All they had was meat, cheese, their special sauce. I think that's it. And but they were really good. And so I would get those, but now they're like $3.50. Since they unionized, they're now $3.50 for one of these little tiny burgers. I'm like, no. So anyway, they're off my list now. Just saying that. Yes, they do. They do use real Tillamook cheese, which is a plus. Tillamook cheese, of course, the best cheese in the world, made right here in Tillamook, Oregon. Okay. So anyway, Carl's Jr. gets the nod. Okay. Now here, this is a local place. It's not a chain, but if you're ever out in this area, the Helvetia Tavern, which is out near Hillsboro, Oregon, which is no longer close to me. We used to live in Hillsboro. Excuse me. That was our first house. And this is basically like a tavern kind of out in the plains a little bit, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. Scenic trees and stuff around, as Oregon is known to be, right? Fries are excellent. They have this, what do they call it? The Big Mama or Big Bertha. That's, I think, what these, I don't know if they still make it or not, but it had a bun seriously this big. And I think it had 3 cheeseburger patties on it. Massive. I did eat one once, but I was much younger and felt like it burned those calories off. Now that'd probably kill me. But you can tell by looking at that burger, that's a good looking burger right there. But the burgers are big, great. I haven't had one in years. And when I was doing the research, yes, I researched top 5 burgers. But doing the research for this, I was like, oh, I got to go back to Helvetia Tavern. What excuse do I have to drive, 15 miles out of my way to go have this burger? So anyway, it is good. The fries are good. Garlic cheddar cheese is pretty good. Ooh, that sounds good. They have a bunch of, Tillamook cheese, if you ever get to they have most of the stores, more of the boutique stores than the like Safeway or something like that. But if you actually go to the cheese factory, they've got like smoked cheddar. Oh my gosh. So good. Anyway, so that's number 3, the Helvetia Tavern right here in Hillsboro, Oregon. Okay, now this, I don't know. This showed up just a couple of years ago, right like 2 miles from my house. And I don't know if this is a national chain or if it's just a local thing, but this is, that's not a burger. That's an ice cream cone. This is Mike's. Okay, Mike's Drive-In. It's designed to look kind of like a 50s or early 60s drive-in, where you can walk into the restaurant and order. Restaurant, of course, I'm using that very loosely. Or you go to the back and they have like a walk-up window where you order, and you can get all your food through the window, and the grill's right there. And their burgers are really, really good. They also have fish and chips that are pretty good. They have chicken sandwiches, burgers, and fish and chips. And then they have soft serve ice cream, like the old days. So they give you this heaping thing of soft serve ice cream when it's like, 90 degrees out. And then by the time you get to your car, it's melted all the way down and over your hands. So it drives me nuts. But so anyway, Mike's Drive-In. Again, don't know if it's a national chain, but it's good eating, folks. In fact, they have a blue cheeseburger there, which I highly recommend. Blue cheese. Okay. Now, finally, what makes the number 1? Now, this you'll never find anyplace unless you come here. And who knows, it might go out of business. But here's my number 1 choice. All right. I am really getting hungry right now. All right. Okay. This is Love's Smash Burger. Okay, it's not Smash Burger. I know that there's a chain called Smash Burger. This is Love's Smash Burger, and it is a food cart. And it is the smallest food cart I've ever seen. And they're parked in the driveway of this tiny little strip mall. And there's a coffee place, one of those coffee island things is in there. It's not brand name. And then there's this guy parked over in the corner of this parking lot. And I was driving around with my daughter and I said, we got to go try that. It's a food truck. It's right here. Let's try it. Incredible. Now, I told the guy, I asked him during the winter, I said, are you going to be open during the winter? Or are you going to shut down and come back in the spring? He goes, hey, I'm from Chicago. I work the winter. Doesn't bother me. And I'm like, all right, then I'll be here. And we go there not quite often, but as often as reasonable to go get a burger. Again, fairly expensive, like a $9 burger, and his fries are really good too. I like the way he seasons them. I don't know what he uses on them, but they're good. So for a little tiny food truck, pretty amazing. Great burger. That's Love's Smash Burgers right there, right in good old heart of That's what you call hitting the wrong button at the wrong moment. Yeah, right near my house, actually, just like maybe a mile and a half away. So those are my frequent spots right there. So those are my top 5 burger joints at the moment. Still fondly remembering my San Diego burger joint, as in 2 weeks I will be San Diego Comic-Con booth 4706. If you happen to be there, come by and say hi. But I'll miss that burger. I don't know where I'm going to eat. Just have to play it by ear. I know I'll be having dinner with the Tucci's and friends Friday night. Saturday night, I get together with the old Malibu Ultraverse gang. And then, everything else is seat of my pants. That's how I live my life. I don't make plans. Okay. Past Master Dan says, white bread is no good. Not saying I don't eat it. Well, we all eat a lot of things that aren't good for us, and white bread is not good for you, but it's so delicious. Okay. So there you have it, guys. Let's see here. I wanted to take a moment, if I may. It's my show. I guess I can do whatever I want, but I'm counting on your good favor to hang in there with me. This isn't exactly out of my flat files, but, we'll take a look at it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm working on a couple of I don't know. This I was just messing around with, and it was so weird looking that I thought I'm going to finish this. So that's kind of a funky Spider-Man for me anyway, and I'm going to finish it. One of those big old hands. Let's see if I can get it done before San Diego, so I can stick it in the old portfolio and maybe make a few bucks on it. Such a mercenary. So anyway, there you go. That's in, as we say, pre-production. Now this was a commission that I've owed a guy. I lost a bet. Okay, so I was at the was it called the Southern California Comic-Con one-day comic show, and down sort of very roughly in the Disneyland type area, very ritzy neighborhood as I recall. And the guy who was driving us around, helping out at the con, also guy who worked at the American Film Institute for years, knows David Lynch. Just one of those guys who knows everybody. Pretty amazing stories. Dave, if you're watching, you know who you are. So anyway, I'm always paranoid about not getting to the airport on time because I've missed so many flights because of unexpected traffic jam, unexpected accident, road construction, you name it. I think I've missed 3 flights, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but it is if you're supposed to be at a show and you're not there because you missed your flight. So anyway, I'm very uptight about leaving super early to the airport just to avoid any problems. And so I was trying to get these guys to leave earlier. I'm like, my flight leaves in, less than 2 hours. We really need to get going. He's like, we will be at the airport in 15 minutes. I said, there is no way you're navigating Southern California traffic and getting me to the airport in 15 minutes. It's not going to happen. So I bet him a sketch of Wonder Woman. And gosh darn that guy, he got me there right at 15 minutes. So I've owed him this for like over a year, but I was going to do it in San Diego last year. And he's like, no, I want you to do it at home so I get the best version. And I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. So anyway, I started doing this one. I thought, yeah, that's not dynamic enough. So I did a different picture of her kind of flying. But then I look at this and I'm like, this is a pretty good drawing. So I should finish this. So I'm going to finish this one, but it's not the one he's getting. Okay, then finally, all right, so for those of you getting the Kit Carter hardcover, let me bring this up real quick. Okay, hang on a second here. There's a gallery in the back of the hardcover that's exclusive to the gallery or exclusive to the hardcover. It's 8 pages of, art and stuff that isn't anywhere else in the book, with the exception of Dan Lawless's piece, which will be in the gallery, but is also on the back of the book. Doggone it, where is that? It doesn't matter. Anyway, there's a title page for the 8-page gallery section in the hardcover of the Kit Carter Planet Doom graphic novel. You'll find a link in the description of this video. And so I'm doing a little sketch piece that's going on. It'll be color. It's going to go on the title page of the portfolio section. So that's what this is, and that's why I'm working on that. I'm also, those of you who bought the Kit Carter Completist, all get Kit Carter headshots, original art. And I've been working on these. So, and they're all different. I'm not using a template or anything. So everybody that ordered that book gets one of these in with their stuff. Everyone is different. Got a couple more going here, there. Of course, there's only so many angles you can do from Kit. But anyway, so there you go. There'll be 66 of those I got to do. But as you can see, I'm moving along on them. But anyway, so that'll be on the, that's the preliminary rough for the one that's going on the portfolio page, which I'll do in color, probably in colored pencil. Maybe in watercolor. I don't know. We'll see. Kaylee, yeah, actually she probably would. She'd cut her hair that short. Yeah, actually she would be. Actually she has cut her hair short, hasn't she, recently? I always wanted to go Kim Novak. Of course, Kim's 100 years old, and I don't even think she's with us anymore, but there's Kim Novak in her prime. That's got Kit Carter written all over it for my money. Craig Smith II says, Aaron, I like that Wonder Woman. You draw the best one, in my opinion. Thank you. You should have been the artist for the New 52 run that Brian Azzarello wrote, which is the best, and then Greg Rucka took over. Yeah, and then Greg Rucka took over. Well, the funny thing is, I was on Wonder Woman for, of course, 2 years, as you know, during Gail Simone's run. And as soon as I finished my run there, that's when they launched the New 52. So I had just actually been on Wonder Woman for 2 years. And so then, of course, I did Justice League International. Now, I was supposed to do Superman, as I told that story before. But when you get a script that says Clark Kent walks across America for 12 issues, you're like, I'm not drawing that. And I didn't. And Straczynski, who wrote it, didn't even finish writing it. So he bored himself, apparently. So I said, I'm not drawing that. So I gave up my chance to be on Superman, but it was like a lame Superman. I wonder if I'd taken that and suffered through it and then maybe got, stayed on for another year where Superman was actually being Superman, that maybe, it might have been a bigger feather in my cap. I don't know. Probably not. But I just couldn't suffer through that. So I did the Justice League International, which was a hit, a surprise hit for DC, and they canceled it anyway because Jeff Johns didn't like it. Not that he didn't like what we were doing. He didn't like the concept of the team. And he thought it was cluttering up the Justice League landscape because they had his book with Jim Lee, and then David Finch was supposed to be launching another one, which I don't know if that ever happened. And then there was something else. And I remember, I know I've told this story before, so bear with me, but Dan Jurgens was writing. And Dan and I went to Dan's deal and said, dude, don't cancel the book. It's selling. Just rename it. Have them disassociate from the Justice League. Have something happen where they're no longer recognized by the Justice League, and so they're kind of this rogue super team. That would be cool. We could do that. And plus add Supergirl. But Dan wouldn't go for it. And then later, of course, said, probably shouldn't have canceled that book. We probably should have, done what you guys wanted. And we're like, oh, yeah. So anyway, and then that cast me into turmoil. I ended up on Amethyst. And then by that time I got through Amethyst, I think New 52 was over, and then we were, back to doing strange and crazy things that we always did at DC anyway. Craig says Jeff Johns was originally a Marvel guy, and he wrote a very good Avengers story back then. I actually, you know what? I did an X-Men job with Jeff Johns very early in his career, and it was very well written. I do remember that going, wow, this guy's good. And it was for that Wizard Magazine Ultimate X-Men giveaway comic, or not giveaway, but you had to purchase it through Wizard. And that got me more X-Men work. And then, of course, we all know the story from there. But anyway, so there you have it. That's the stuff I'm kind of working on right now, trying to get done. I don't know if I have time to get a Wraith of God print done for San Diego. I got some Kit Carter prints. Those will be there. And then some of my other stuff. But I don't know if I'm going to have time to do one and get it printed. We shall see. We shall see if it happens. Okay. I wonder if I'm running out my battery on this neck fan. It's still blowing. Okay. All right. Now, this show has to be, unfortunately, a little bit more efficient than my other shows because I got to get out of here to take the boyfriend, not my boyfriend, but my daughter's boyfriend, to the airport. So here we are at 10 minutes to 5, trying to wrap up at around 5 o'clock or so. So that means it's time for this. All right. So you flat earthers out there, you JFK conspirators, you moon landing conspirators out there, this is your segment. No, he's not from here, so he doesn't have wheels. So I'm taking him because it's the nice thing to do. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this. How many of you guys have heard of the Legend of Lantern Man? No, I'm not talking about the Green Lantern. I'm talking about some weird ghost story from Pennsylvania where this guy allegedly drowned out by the dam. There's some dam there. I can't remember the name of the lake. And now he walks around, a ghostly apparition, carrying a lantern. Right. Where is he? Here he comes. There he is. Yes. It's not the Green Lantern. It's the skeleton lantern. This guy, look at this. He looks like someone from he looks like he has a top hat on. Maybe that's just a shadow. But he looks like some sort of circus performer guy or somebody you might see in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Doesn't that look like he has a top hat on? Right there. Doesn't that look like a top hat? Maybe it's a shadow. I don't know. That looks like maybe he's got a top hat on. So it's apparently this is the spirit of the guy that drowned there. And he looks like he's got maybe like a 70s rock and roll mustache, like maybe he's on Grand Funk Railroad or something. Or in the band Grand Funk Railroad. See, and then they go into this kind of tell you the legend of the Lantern Man. But that's him right there. So if you're driving by someplace in Pennsylvania, you might see this along the side of the road. Or if you dress your buddy up in that costume and put him on the side of the road and drive by, you've got yourself a video that's sure to get 1 million views. Ronan wants to know, was the person in the car was a hoboaphobe? Yeah, Duck Bacon, of course, pointing out pretty opaque for a spirit. Anti-Entity says the Lantern Man story I know was train track man with a lantern that died in an accident. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Was he a circus clown? That's very good. Stippling Vaughn says he's for sale at the home store. Almost bought him. Somehow I don't think Stipling's joking. Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if this is like something you could buy for a Halloween and stand it on the side of the road and drive by and go, oh my gosh, look. Yeah, there's no movement here. So Pastmaster Dan saying that is clearly the guy called Manny Kin. I think you're right. Yeah, there's no movement there. It's not like the guy's walking. He's just, yeah, that looks pretty fake, doesn't it? Even blurry, it looks pretty fake. Although I love that big mustache right there. Or is that just his gaping skeletal mouth? I don't know. It's that nice fuzzy effect we get that we just can't tell what we're seeing. That's how you know it's authentically fake. All righty, so there's the Lantern Man. Legends abound in the state of Pennsylvania, apparently, about this character. How about this? This is I guess, a demon seal. So if you're out boating in Costa Rica, be careful. Of course, it's from Costa Rica. Let's take a look here. These guys are out boating, all right? And boom, here we go. Watch him right there. There he is, the demon seal chasing this guy. Horrifying, isn't it? The creature appears to be following the boat. Really? Again and again, revealing its piercing eyes. I love how they put this little Spanish thing right in the middle of the picture. Like, we got to see that for our viewing pleasure. You know, it's really essential. Okay, now, interesting enough, this clip was on the History Channel. They do a show where they like show cryptid clips and then they debunk them, or, you know, and it's actually pretty good because they actually have video and stuff. They don't just talk about, oh, this guy, I heard this howling in the woods, and they got no picture, you know. But at least this one, they actually look at videos and they bring in experts and stuff. Now, this is clearly, if it were real, and we'll get to that in a minute, this is clearly a seal, right? If it were real, right? So they had a biologist come in here, Paul, probably a friend of yours, and she said that if this was real, she said it probably is a leopard seal, although I don't think it's, me looking at it right now, I don't necessarily get the sense it's big enough to be a leopard seal. But as you know, leopard seals are the great whites of the seal family. These things are killers, and they will kill you and eat you. They are not to be trifled with, and they get really, really big. But I would have thought there'd be more in more Arctic conditions. But according to this biologist, they could be here. I think this is Costa Rica. It's someplace like that. So anyway, that's what she said. But then they just couldn't help themselves. They sent this to a forensic film guy, and he broke it down and said this is clearly faked, and they double exposed and showed how and where. So basically, you got people filming out of the back of their boat, and then this seal thing was added later. So it's all fakery. And I bring it up to make the point, as cynical Aaron often does, that the chance that any of these videos we're seeing are real is slim to none. That's just it. I'm just saying. Fakery is too easy. And when you fake it and can make it blurry, it makes it even more believable, because you don't have to see how artificial it actually looks if it were in focus. So anyway, there you go. Fake giant seal chasing. Now this is interesting. Punkface XO says, try surfing in San Francisco and sea lions just want to play with you. That was terrifying. I still get chills thinking about it. Well, I bet it is, because they're like, if you get a bunch of seals attacking you, even if they just want to, play. But these leopard seals, William Stout, the great illustrator, Bill Stout, was telling me the story. He was down in what do you call it, South Pole, right? He went on an expedition. And he went down there and painted in the South Pole, which is really amazing. But he was telling me that they were left their base camp and they were going to this big ice floe, right? And they were going to get on the ice floe and check it out and all this sort of stuff. And he said, I can't remember if they were coming from the ice floe back to home base or vice versa, but he said that the water was freaking incredibly rough. And they're in one of those big rubber rafts, with the outboard motor on it. And so they're plowing through this stuff, just flopping all over the place. He said he could hardly keep from falling out. He said all the while they're being surrounded by leopard seals. And so he was like, if I fell out, I was dead. I mean, the water, probably get hypothermia in like 5 seconds, but the seals would have killed him. And he said they were just jumping around in these big 15, 16-foot seals, like great whites, just jumping around, waiting for him to fall off the boat. And thankfully he did not, but can you imagine? Wow. Interesting. Andrew Cotta says, Aaron, I found that Hulk book on eBay for $10, but it's a reprint with Marvel True Believers #1 on top. Strange Tales 75, 2018. I understand if you're not going if you're just going for the vintage version. Actually, I do want to read the story. I will check that out because I do want to pick up a copy so I can just read the story. Okay. Anyway, so let's take a look at this and tell me what you think of this. This is in England, right? Not in Loch Ness, but in another lake. There it is. Now, clearly, I think this is an authentic video. The question is, what are we looking at here? There's the guy that debunks everything. He's very good. This guy's a nerd. Let's watch that again. Angela Curry says tapeworm. Moromi's saying eel. Eel, freshwater eel. Well, let me tell you what their conclusion was on this, if I may. They concluded see that? That's interesting right there. It's kind of, they concluded that they had the biologist come in, again, probably a friend of Paul's, said this thing, whatever it is not really navigating the water like an animal would. They said it just seems to be being pushed around by the tide. They concluded this was a piece of floating garbage. So, like a piece of plastic or something that was maybe being, shaped and bent by the currents. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, Loch Ness Monster or piece of floating garbage. They're leaning towards garbage on this one, but, at least it's, somewhat clear. This, Mr. Smith, is a neck fan. It's blowing cool air up into my, actually the air's getting warm. I wonder if I'm just overusing it. It's getting heated up and therefore blowing warmer air. Or maybe it's just getting warmer up here, which is probably true as well. So anyway, there you go. Floating garbage, folks. That's what we're looking at today. Okay, we got one more. Now this is exciting. Actually, we have two more. This is exciting. All right. Are you ready for this? What did I describe this as? Batman. Okay. Or a man bat, perhaps. Let's see here. All right. Get ready for, and it's actually pretty well in focus. Be prepared to be terrified of the Batman. Look at this. Okay, but here's a problem. Okay, so they run away, allegedly. They see this and they freak out, but then they run right into this guy who apparently is a hippie in a Speedo, the best I can tell. But they're saying that, you know, this thing, whatever it was, jumped down in front of them as they ran away. And yet this one has hair and a beard or something, where the other devil guy had no hair. This guy's in a Speedo. I don't know. I'm thinking this ain't good. I'm thinking this is all fakery, but I do love this. I mean, yeah, of course it's got to be fake, but look at that. This part of the video gives. I'm thinking I don't know, B+ on this one. Look at, he's eating something. That's a nice little touch. And of course, we don't get to see his face because, but look at the wings. The thing is, those wings are not big enough for that dude to fly. All right, they serve no purpose. So there's a flaw in the design of the character, but he is eating something, and it looks really gross. Oh, okay. But where this thing falls apart, where it goes from a B+, okay. Now, granted, you have to. The couple problems, of course, are the wing size is terrible. It does. I will say this though, if you look at it, this looks like it's cut and pasted in this black background, but it does sort of look exactly like the rocks. You know, that kind of blurred, soft. So that was good. You know, so at least it was consistent. So I'm okay with this right up to this, where we see the hippie in the bikini. This is clearly not even the same. If it were the creature, it's not even the same thing. So why is there a guy in a Speedo out in the middle of the desert and among the rocks? Is this like the caretaker of the Batman? I don't know what we're supposed to get from this. So this blows up the whole video. This was a big mistake. If you're going to do this, why don't you have the Batman down there? You know, maybe jumping into frame. Well, that would be, how about that? Well, Captain Bitbo, he did hear him because he turned while he was eating. Turned to notice them. That's why they took off running and ran into Speedo Man. Is that what he's eating? Is he eating pizza? Maybe he is eating pizza. That's some pretty stretchy cheese though. Let's see here. Yeah, there's the philosophy. Show one more entity to make it believable, and instead make it that less believable. Okay. Grizzly Adams, yeah, could be. Paul Taylor saying it's near Detroit someplace. Drugs, that explains just about everything. Angela Cray says that butt, though, would be a contestant on Babe of the Week. Really? I wasn't looking at his butt that much, but let's take a look here. Well, there's some cheeks going on there for sure. So do you think they posed a guy to do that? Because that actually looks pretty fluid, the movement, and then like did the monsters effects over his body. And he put a little work into it, right? It's just the wings. Why would you be so stupid to give him these tiny little wings that would be completely ineffectual with something that size? I don't know. But yeah, that's probably pretty much the best I could get this week. But I did find another alligator video, which what happened to him? There's Lantern Man, Demon Seal, Floating Garbage, Batman, Giant Florida Gator. But that's the one we looked at last week. I had a different giant Florida Gator. Oh, this is so disappointing. Where is that? Oh, there he is. Okay. We got him. Don't be alarmed, folks. You may have seen, this is an older video, but I'm still amazed at the size of this critter. This is probably another 15 footer, which is about the max size you get for alligators. Look at that freaking thing. Are you kidding me? I don't know that I'd want to be that close to something that big. And there's the lady who photographed it going, oh, it's so big. Really? Look at this thing. Look at the snout on that thing. It is humongous. Incredible. Okay, I'm not interested in your story. And look, he moves forward and back. Forward and back. Back, forward, back. I need some music playing. I love how their arms and legs almost like they could be like a human being in a suit doing this. Look at that back leg action there. These are amazing creatures. God's got a wonderful imagination, don't you think? Look at that. Amazing. Okay, so that's our guy on the path, right? And let's not forget about this dude. I'm going to show it anyway. I don't care if I showed it last week. And then we see this dude. I wonder if it's the same one. I don't think it is. Man, that thing's gigantic. I mean, alligators are freaking dinosaurs. I mean, they literally are. Look at that. Now, see, there's people that say, like my wife, doesn't like Florida because of the bugs and the weird creatures and stuff. But dude, this is why I want to live in Florida, so I can go at the golf course, which I never do. But if I could see an alligator like that, I'd go on the golf course. That's just so cool. Looks like where's he going? Where's the nearest pond? He's got to be going around there someplace. It's a long trek for a big dude like that. We had little alligators in our development in Florida, you know, like 5-footers, those kind of things. It's still cool, but man, that's really cool. What? Captain Bitto says it's fake. The guy's shadow is long behind him and the gator is under it. It was shown on the news. And apparently the guys at the golf course say that they got a big giant 15-footer that wanders around there. So I didn't look at that. The shadow. I guess I'll have to check that out. True. Everything was bigger back in the Stone Age. But still, I mean, for what we've got today, those are pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. But now Captain Bitbo is calling fake on the golf course one. Now I'm going to go back and revisit it a little bit. But unfortunately not today, folks, because we're going to have to call it quits. We're at almost 5:15, which means I have to leave in about 20 minutes to the airport. So let me thank all of you for joining me on this wonderful Sunday during the 4th of July weekend. Let me catch all my super chats here before I get too carried away. Paul Taylor for $10 Canadian. Thank you, Paul. This is a fun show, though on at a weird time. I think you're trying to confuse me. Hail, Aaron, and the chat. Thank you. I'll be back next week at my regular time, unless I'm not. Geek Avenger says, tweet all your cat pics to Gary for $2. Liopleurodon. Is that like an alligator, prehistoric alligator name, or is that like the name of the Batman? I don't know, but thank you for educating me on when I have no idea what you're talking about, but I appreciate it. So anyway, thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you for joining me. Please hit the like and subscribe on your way out the door. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. Also, Don't forget, if you haven't already, please consider backing Kit Carter Planet Doom graphic novel. Campaign link is in the description of this video. It'll only be open for about another week and a half to 2 weeks tops. So if you're going to order, get in there and do it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe. And we will see you next time right here on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody.